All right, Math 1, Practice 4.3.3, distinguishing between correlation and causation. Remember, as we take this table, like this one with advertising spending per product and products sold, okay, we're trying to find, is there a cause? Basically, the more we spend here, is that going to relate to more products sold? Because that's what companies want to know, okay? However, just doing a scatter plot can't show causation, okay? Can show a very strong correlation, which we'll say kind of has a causal relationship, but there's always more to it. The only way to find causation is to do an experiment. So we take all this data, I put it into the calculator, we come up with our scatter plot. And it looks like this, okay? Pretty all over the place, okay? So it's not very close together, it doesn't look like it's going up or down. I would say this probably has no correlation, okay? We can double check that by finding that correlational coefficient. So if we go back to our table, and we hit the menu, stat calculations, to variable, and then we go down to our R value, we find an R value of 0.18, which tells us that this has a very low to no correlation going on. So it is not likely that there's a causal relationship here at all. Okay? So let's take a look at the next one. Now, age of client versus countries visited. So we create a scatter plot first, and then let's look at our data. Now, if we look at this one, okay, with this scatter plot, we can see that, yeah, looks like it's positive. It's pretty close together, so it's probably a positive strong, okay, but we need that correlational coefficient to really tell us mathematically what it means. So we take a look at that correlational coefficient here, and we see that it's got a correlation of 0.91. Okay, which is a really strong, almost to 1, so a really strong positive correlation. So could we say that, you know, your age will cause how many countries you'll have visited? No, because remember, we can never say causation. However, is there a causal relationship? According to our data, it looks like there is. There's a strong enough correlation to tell us that we probably have some sort of connection there that we could say is a causal relationship between age and countries visited. Okay? So last two. So a science class studies the time it takes a certain amount of water to reach a boil. So we've got the temperature to reach boil, how many minutes it took. Okay, so we look at this. It's definitely a negative correlation, okay, because it's going down. It's kind of clustered, a little spread out, but these are very small numbers, so I'd say that's pretty close together. So I would say there's probably a pretty high correlation in the negative, so a strong negative correlation. Okay, so is it likely there's a causal relationship? I would say yes. That the time it takes, the degrees, and the water to boil, I think there's a causal relationship there. Once again, we can't prove the causation, but with that graph, gives us a pretty good idea that there is. All right, there we go.